Everybody, it's a Mad Master here. I'm doing a video today about this recent Twitter battle slash threat of fighting that Cenk has given to Joe Rogan. You can look it up. It's in the news. I think it was even on some mainstream news. And then they compared body weights and all this crap. Now, the thing is I followed both for many years. I wouldn't say I followed Joe Rogan, but I used to watch InfoWars back in the day, like in the early to mid 2000s, early 2010s. And I stopped watching for a variety of reasons. And I've done comparisons to both before, both InfoWars and Young Turks, by the way. I think they're both have a very grift element to them. You know, Alex Jones and Cenk are actually not too different, it turns out, in my not so humble opinion. So it's kind of funny. But Joe Rogan, I already knew back in the day that, yeah, he was friends with Alex Jones. You know, he used to appear on his show sometimes. They were friends. Joe Rogan was always red-pilled, quote unquote, about various things. You know, he believed JFK was killed by, conspiracy, blah blah blah. You know, that was always the way it was. So when people are attacking Joe Rogan now for all this stuff, it's like, well, I guess you weren't paying attention to what he's always been into these types of things. You know, like I said before, I think he is a Larry King of this generation, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't have like his quirks or sometimes flaws or whatever. So seeing this challenge thrown to, and you can look it up, I'm not going to go into detail, but it's basically, someone offered Cenk money to, in a kind of hypothetical way to fight Joe Rogan, and Cenk is like, I could end him. I've been fighting all my life, and the hilarity is because Joe Rogan is a martial artist, professional martial artist, weightlifter, I believe. He does some weight stuff. He does a lot of. He's a very athletic guy, and Cenk makes me probably look like Iggy Pop, with health and weight and stuff in comparison, or not at least weight, So it's definitely pretty fat. So the whole impetus of this is really stupid, and the thing about Cenk is that, like the old Nietzsche quote goes, you gaze in the abyss, it stares back at you, and all that. It's like he's become Donald Trump, his arch nemesis, with all these stupid challenges online and stuff. It's like, that sounds like something Trump would say, challenge someone to a fight, or Biden sometimes too, because Biden, I think, challenged people to fights that were questioning him at some campaign appearances, a few years back. But yeah, it's pretty stupid. And there's part of me, though, that would love to see it, because I'd love to see Cenk. I would say Alex Jones should be like the referee, the guy, here in this corner, it's Joe Rogan, and here in the other corner, globalist Cenk of the Young Turks. It would be awesome to see that, and I'd pay for that. I think we should do that. I think we should do more stuff like that, where people actually fight, and their money goes to charity, whoever wins or whatever. We should have, more of these people just fight in real life. I hate, it's one of these things that I hate with what's going on, that people aren't. I mean, this has gone on for, over 10 years, over 15 years with all social media and stuff. It's like people can't argue in real life anymore. It's just like, well, I guess fighting in real life, I mean, there's plenty of fights that are going on, right? But this whole fighting in real, this whole challenging people to a wrestling match or something, I think it's hilarious. I remember it reminds me of like Guns N' Roses, like Axl Rose, when he did the song Get in the Rain. It's just like, he name dropped all these like media people that were saying stuff about Axl Rose and Guns N' Roses in the song. It's hilarious. I think it's funny. But yeah, Cenk is just a slimy greaseball grifter at this point, in my opinion. I mean, I don't even know if he believes what he says. I think in part he does, but there's cognitive dissonance. I think the Young Turks are completely turned into what they once feared and they once attacked. They've turned into. I mean, watch any segment today, it's just total lack of nuance and total lack of relevance. It's there's like Hard Lens Media, all these people that are coming up that are taking the throne from them. It's going to continue to happen. But yeah, and Joe Rogan is just on a whole mega star level. I mean, he gets tens of millions of views and listens, to his podcasts and stuff, and he's worked his way up into that. I mean, obviously he had a lot of support before because he was kind of famous already, which in podcasting definitely helps, because when someone famous has a podcast, it's usually pretty popular. Not always, but it's just so stupid and so juvenile for Cenk Uygur to go into this kind of realm. But it doesn't surprise me anymore about him and his nephew, who shows a lot of the same character flaws. Man, I think I hate him more than Cenk Uygur, though, because Hassan Piker is just total cringe. And since the beginning, I thought that like 5 years ago when I first saw him on the Young Turks, I was like, who is this guy? He just kind of rubs me the wrong way. It's just like this brocialist idiot, this fucking Young Turks. So yeah, let's pay thousands of dollars. Primo Radical, who I like a lot too. I missed a couple of people with my left and right wing YouTubers. I love Romanian V, by the way, and I love Primo Radical. I should have added that to the list. I don't watch those as much as the other ones. That's the thing, but I love both those channels as well. So Primo Radical being on the left, and then Romanian V being on the right, quote unquote, because I think these labels and these definitions are kind of getting a little outdated in a certain way. Wasn't it from like the French Parliament or something? The left wing of the hall or whatever. I'd have to read about it again, but yeah, seem to remember something about that. It's just these outdated terms. Who gives a shit what you are? So yeah, I would pay for Primo Radical offered to pay $5,000 for Cenk Uygur to be on his show to ask him about Katzenberg money and stuff. So that was pretty funny. I think that would be amazing if he would accept it, but of course he's not going to, because he's a fucking slime ball. But not Primo Radical. I mean, Cenk Uygur is a slime ball. So anyways, that's about all.